Welcome to Bloom Today. We have an amazing show lined up for you. We're going to be talking about who's really a victim anyway.
Hi, I'm Paula Wallace, president of Bloom in the Dark, and this is
Ginny Priz, the single-handed serenity coach. Welcome to Bloom Today, where we talk about internal and external brokenness and how you can heal,
so that you can use the fertilizer of your past to bloom today. Welcome, everybody. Today we're going to talk about who's a victim anyway. That's an interesting subject, and is it? Especially because we're both wearing ex-victim shirts.
Yes.
Does that mean that you were a victim once?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes.
And I think I might be wearing my shirt because I might have been a victim once
Were
too.
you? Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, it would look pretty funny for me to wear a shirt like this, don't you think?
I think so.
So there's so much talk these days about abuse, and some people are of the mind that nobody's really a victim. It's really their own fault, and they blame and shame the victims. And other people think that everybody's a victim, and that once you're a victim, you're always a victim. And we don't agree with either of those, do we, Jenny?
Absolutely not.
So we're talking about the fact that there really are victims.
There are many victims. This world is broken, so eventually, somehow, some way, we will be a victim of someone or something.
So who's a victim anyway is a really good question to ask, because when we're in denial, one of the things that we constantly tell ourselves is, I wasn't a victim.
Of course.
Because it only happened once.
Sure. They didn't really mean it. They didn't mean to hurt me, so I must not be a victim.
Well, and the frying pan in the face that ended me in the hospital was not really abuse.
Of course not. Why would it be? Because they apologized for it afterwards, didn't they?
Well, and they bought candy and flowers to go with the fact that my face might have been smashed. Now, mind you, that wasn't my particular story, but I still had a lot of places where other people told me that I wasn't really a victim.
Sure. I had the same thing told to me, that nothing happened. Why are you upset? What's going on with you? What's your problem? You're just being overly dramatic. Stop being so emotional. Nothing actually happened.
You're just super sensitive. And the fact that these bad things happened that left me hurting and suicidal and broken is just me overreacting to those circumstances, and I just need to get over it, get a life.
Right.
How about you?
Absolutely. Get over it.
Get over it.
Get over it. Or nothing happened. Nothing happened at all. Or you put yourself in that situation, so you only have yourself to blame.
So you made choices that ended you up in that situation, and therefore it wasn't abuse, or it wasn't you being a victim.
Yeah.
Because somehow or another, something you did or something you wore or something you said was what ended you up in that position. But what if you're a little kid?
Oh, that's a tough question.
I've had people say that even if you're a little kid, well, you shouldn't have talked that way. You shouldn't have misbehaved that way. You shouldn't have gone to that place. And therefore, it's still either your fault or you're not really a victim of that situation.
Why is it so hard for people to see that there is a victim here and that they need some attention? Why is it maybe just our culture or beyond? Maybe there's just something innate in us that just doesn't want to even look at the fact that victimhood is real.
Well, I don't want to admit to being a victim, because once I've admitted it, then I can't change it. Like, that makes me stuck as a victim for the rest of my life. And if I don't want to be labeled a victim for life, then it's just best to pretend it never happened, to never admit it, and that way I keep that label off of me.
Living in denial. Let's just pretend it didn't happen. And then life is easier. I can just sweep it under the rug.
Well, it's easier for everybody else, at least. But it's really crazy how the brokenness inside of us stays broken inside of us, whether we cover it up or not. And today we're going to talk about recognizing when you're a victim, what makes you a victim, and how you go about doing something about being a victim. Do you think that might be an interesting thing to learn?
Absolutely. I mean, if I know that there's something that I can do about being a victim, then maybe I wouldn't be so hard on myself to get to that point, or it wouldn't be so difficult to accept that, yes, I actually was a victim, if I don't have to stay in that hopeless place.
So let's start out by identifying what might make you a victim. To start out with, if anybody has used their position, their power, their influence, or their relationship with you to do you harm or to hurt you, that would make you a victim. Sometimes we're even a victim of our own damage, where we have, through addictions, through self-harm, through different things, we have become victims of our own vices, of our own brokenness. And so many times when we're looking at what makes us a victim or not, we're not actually taking into account the different influences and things that make us a victim. So if somebody's bullying me in school, does that make me a victim? Well, usually that person is bigger or stronger or smarter or in some way or another capable of doing me harm. What if it's my husband? Does that make me a victim? What if they are saying very damaging things or taking money away so I can't buy groceries or food? Or what if they just hit me sometimes? Or what if they're drunk when they hit me? We have to learn to appreciate and understand that if I am hurt and if I am broken, if there's a place that is really damaged inside of me, then all those excuses don't really matter. I've been a victim in some way, and I need help in healing.
Absolutely.
So, are there any tools that we're going to share with anybody about brokenness and victimization, how to recognize that?
Absolutely. You can definitely download the tool if you want to go a little bit further into this. There's a coaching tool at bloomtodaytv.com, and everyone who downloads that tool is entered into a drawing to receive this week's giveaway.
So this week's giveaway, Ginny, why don't you talk about this beautiful book that has this picture of a redheaded girl on the back of it?
With one arm. That's me. My picture looks a little bit like this.
Oh, I see. That's where that comes from.
Yes, this is my garden shield. No, it's Ditch the Drama is my book, and this is something that came out of my hope and healing, where God said, I'm so glad that you got all of this healing, and now we're going to give it away. Now we're going to give it to people who need it, need the wisdom and the joy. So what I did was I went through the Serenity Prayer, and I took it apart line by line, word for word, and got all of the really good nuggets in there as to what our foundation really is, what drama really is, when we're creating it, and when challenges and pain and pruning seasons from God are there for a reason, and how we can avoid that. But really what I love is this keyhole in the middle, this idea that no matter what the world throws at you, you can still have this peace in the center of your heart. So that is the book that we are giving away, along with the, thank you very much, Ditch the Drama t-shirts. And it does say ditchthedrama.net on there as well. So if you do want to go ahead and check that out, you can go to ditchthedrama.net and learn some more about what's in the book. And of course, everyone also gets a copy of, not everyone, the winner. We would love to give it to everyone, but the winner will also receive a copy of Bloom in the Dark, which is Paula's book, and that's 30 true stories of women who have been through all kinds of brokenness, abuse, and how God came in and helped to heal them.
And on the back of this book, it says, warning, best read in red, with tissues and a box of chocolate. We got chocolates here. And in fact, if you're watching the show right now, feel free to have tissues and chocolates right there with you in case anything that we're talking about touches your heart and makes you feel a little bit emotional, because our goal is to actually reach you where you're at in the middle of your pain and brokenness, or in the middle of your celebrating your healing. So,
healing tears are good tears.
They are amazing tears. And with that in mind, can you tell us a little bit about Serenity University?
Absolutely. Serenity University is a website, a membership website that I've set up because what I found was I had all of these coaching classes and tools. For me, I am a coach at heart. And I really want not just to give people a happy message about God's love and send you on your way. I really want to equip you with the tools that you need in order to make different choices. Because if you want something new, you have to choose something new. You have to do something differently. And it's really difficult to do that on your own. So what I've done is I've created a community with several different classes in there, and I continue to add different classes in there as well to help you get from where you are to where you want to be in serenity with God.
So can I share a positive comment that somebody was making about Serenity Journey?
Absolutely, and I do want to make it clear that this comment that you're about to read is about Trust Academy specifically, which is a course that helps women who are coming out of codependency or any kind of brokenness or abuse that need to really start to trust God with everything in their life.
So she said, Trust Academy has changed my life. I feel transformed in my feelings, thoughts, and desires. I'm able to love others, build close relationships, and see myself truly as a masterpiece. If you have an area of your life that controls you or you can't focus or just feel you can't go on, then give God and Ginny and Trust Academy a chance to change you, heal you, deliver you, and restore you. You will not regret it at all. I got more out of this whole journey than I ever thought I would. So is there something related to art or music that you might want to share with everybody that kind of exemplifies what you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. I was getting ready the other day, and I listened to Pandora a lot on my phone, and one song came through that struck me as, oh my gosh, this is the heart of what Serenity University is all about. This is the heart of Trust Academy and what I want to get out. So I'd love to read the lyrics to that, and hopefully I won't cry. Hopefully I'll get through it, but you never know. So bear with me. Thank you. And these lyrics are from Ellie Holcomb, and the song is called Wonderfully Made. And if you do have a chance, please check it out on YouTube. It is amazing. I hope I can do it justice here. Okay. It's 2 a.m, and I'm still awake in my bed. I can't shake these lies that keep running around in my head. What if I saw me the way that you see me? What if I believed it was true? What if I traded the shame and self-hatred for a chance at believing you? That you knit me together in my mother's womb, and you say that I've never been hidden from you, and you say that I'm wonderfully, wonderfully made. You search me and know me. You know when I sit, when I rise, so you must know the choices I've made and the pain that I hide. What if I saw me the way that you see me? What if I believed it was true? What if I traded this shame and self-hatred for a chance at believing you? Because you knit me together in my mother's womb, and you say that I've never been hidden from you. And you say that I'm wonderfully, wonderfully made. Your eyes, they have seen me before I was born, and you know all the good things that you made me for. And I'm wonderfully, wonderfully made. When I consider the heavens above, oh, what is man that you're mindful of us, till you say that we're wonderfully, wonderfully made. And you promise that you'll never leave me, O Lord. Oh, that you hem me in both behind and before, and I'm wonderfully, wonderfully made. Wonderfully made. Help me believe it. Help me to see just like you see me, just like you made me. Wonderfully made.
Well, Ginny, in our last few minutes about this, I would love to hear a little bit about why that song is absolutely so touching to you, because it sounds like you're telling your own story.
Yeah, absolutely. I am, because from the first moments of my birth, I was different. And when I was born, they didn't have the power of all of the sonograms, the 3D sonograms and everything that happens now. So the first time my parents knew I was different was when I was first born, and I was 10 days late. So they were more than ready to have me out in the world, and here I was 10 days late and missing a part of my arm. I mean, I was in there cooking long enough, you'd think that it would be okay, but no. This is the way God made me. And that's how my parents told me when I said, why am I like this? Why am I like this? Is there a disease? No, this is just the way God wanted to make you.
So tell me about how that makes you almost handicapped.
That makes me almost handicapped because a lot of times people associate my kind of difference with amputation. And a lot of times people will think that I have had some kind of amputation or I've had some kind of trauma happen to me. And when I tell people I was born this way, about 50% of the time people will say, oh, you should tell them it's a really good story, like you got bit by a shark or an alligator or something really cool. But to me, this is really cool. But in a lot of people's eyes, it makes me almost handicapped.
So what other almosts do you have in your life?
Oh, I've got a whole bunch of them. So I was almost raped in college. I almost endured physical abuse in a relationship of mine where I chose to be with someone who was violent, especially when they drank. And although they were never violent towards me, they were violent towards themselves and surely had the opportunity to be violent at me. For example, smashing a beer bottle on the floor directly behind me without any warning. And that terrified me. When I tried to break up with this person, they started punching themselves in the face. That's terrifying. Was I abused? Well, I wasn't physically abused, but it was right on the edge, and that was something that I couldn't quite reconcile.
So were you a victim?
I didn't know it at the time and would never have thought that I was, because especially after I was almost raped, I asked other people I told them what had happened and asked them why I was feeling terrified, because 3 days later was when I had my first panic attack. And I had panic attacks for years and years after that. And the answer that they gave me was, but nothing happened. You weren't raped. So what's the big deal? And I was a theater major, so I thought I was just being overly dramatic, so I tried to stuff it down, hence years of panic attacks and not really knowing. And in another relationship of mine, I experienced emotional abuse, where I just thought that I was wrong for everything. Everything was my fault because he told me it was my fault, and I just accepted that. It was easier to just follow along with him because I wanted so desperately to be loved. And I think it was about 8 years later after that relationship that I finally recognized that it was abuse. But I never would have thought so at the time, because surely he didn't mean it. Surely no one operated out of that mindset of wanting to manipulate someone.
Or what ended up being your lowest point in the middle of all of this brokenness?
Well, I was so desperate for earning other people's love. And then after every relationship failed and failed and failed, I started just turning to alcohol more and more often and started to really rely on that. And unfortunately, in 2011, when I moved to Tennessee, almost immediately after I moved to Tennessee, I received a DUI and was sent to jail for 48 hours and had to breathalyze in my car for a full year, lost my license.
And you just admitted that on TV?
Absolutely. Everyone should know. And it's one of those things where, it's okay. It's okay, because that to me was my identity as the good girl, and my identity as the responsible girl totally fell apart. Totally fell apart in pieces on the floor, and I didn't know where to go. So in that place of my lowest point, with all of my friends 850 miles away in New Jersey and me alone in Tennessee, I had to look to God and say, okay, I don't know who is going to love me because I don't love myself. Who's going to respect me because I don't respect myself. And certainly I must be this horrible person, but I'm not really an alcoholic, right? Because I don't live under a bridge. I've got a good job, but I'm definitely a criminal. And all of this was bringing me to a point of where God was showing me that it wasn't enough to just believe in him and believe that he loved me, I had to step out in obedience as he was calling me. Because shortly before I received the DUI, he asked me to stop drinking. And I said, well, that sounds like a nice idea, God. Maybe one day I'll try that out. When you don't listen, then you're gonna, like Jonah, end up with the whale, right? But when I started to get into recovery, and what I did was I went to Celebrate Recovery.
So that's how God met you in that was?
Absolutely. I prayed specifically for the right tool, the right place. If that was AA, I would go to AA. If that was somewhere else, I would go there, but please show me. And that Sunday at church, there was a speaker who was in recovery for heroin and cocaine, and he said Celebrate Recovery was where he went. So I talked to him afterwards, got his information and the information of Celebrate Recovery, and that's where I started my journey. He was so fast answering that prayer. This is what I have for you. And here I am now 6 years later, and I am still at Celebrate Recovery, and I am part of their team. They have truly sown into me the truth, and I have truly started to walk a walk of obedience.
So you help other people now in the same areas that you experience brokenness and were a victim of other people and of yourself.
Absolutely. And all along the way, when I first walked into Celebrate Recovery, I remember thinking, are they going to treat me differently because I'm not really an alcoholic? Are they going to say, you're not really a smoker because you only smoke 2 cigarettes a day, so get out of here, you're not enough to help? I thought I was insulting people by showing up and saying I'm broken, but that wasn't the case at all. They were this warm, welcoming family that were all just standing there saying, hey, we're broken. We're broken too. We're all broken. We know it. We're not trying to hide it. We're not trying to pretend it doesn't exist. Masks off. We understand that this is a hurting place for you too. We want to help you. How can we help you?
That's incredible. So tell us about how even your cat can be broken.
Absolutely. My darling cat, I call her Little One. She has an attachment disorder.
Is she codependent?
She's a little codependent on me, that's for sure. A little enmeshment going on there. She is the runt of the litter. And so I really think, even though I didn't know her when she was a kitten, that she got shoved around a lot and pushed away. And so now she needs someone to hold on to and attach to. When I walk in the door, she is there. When I go to the bathroom, I have to wait until she follows me in till I can close the door, because otherwise she will tear up the carpeting and meow and drive everyone crazy. I need to account for her at all times in the house.
So another question I have is about a time when you're actually running into your abusive ex-boyfriend.
Oh.
Turned into a God thing?
Absolutely. That was just about a year ago, and I was completely caught off guard. Here I am on vacation in Orlando. It's beautiful. We're walking around the pool, and I see someone who is intentionally following me as I walk around the pool. And then I realize, as I look a little bit closer, I'm not sure if this is my emotionally abusive ex-boyfriend, but oh yeah, it could possibly be. And he keeps following me and it was scary. Now I didn't talk to him. I don't know if it was actually him, but I do believe that was God showing me that there was a place in my heart that still needed to heal. And it allowed me to sort of open up that box again and make sure that I had really forgiven him for everything that had happened, and forgive myself. And I got to really dig into that story and say, yes, absolutely, I choose to forgive you, but not for you. I choose to forgive for me so that I can be free from everything that you have done. I can be free from the hatred, and I can be running around, on some mountaintop singing "The Hills Are Alive" and actually mean it and feel free and say, you know what, I forgive you. God has you. There's no way you could ever fix this, and I don't need an apology, because I'm sure I would never ever get an apology. That's fine. I don't need one. It's between you and God, and me and God, and me and you. We're okay.
So that's why we're going to celebrate you as our ex-victim of the week.
Yay!
And you're even wearing the t-shirt. We can both say that we've been there. We've done that. And we got the t-shirt. That's an awesome thing. So we're getting to be here and sharing that celebration to everybody else. We're getting to tell them about things like your bloom moment.
Oh, my bloom moment. And I think I've mentioned this, but I think what allowed me to bloom out of everything and continue even through that hopeless place to get through it to the other side is really what my parents told me when I was young, is that God wanted me and he made me specifically. And those things, just knowing that every time I take off my arm, every time I look at what makes me different, that this is God's stamp on my life. This isn't something that's broken. This isn't something that needs to be fixed. It just is. It's what God wanted for me and for my life. It's my blessing. And so I own it. I take it on.
You lend me a hand sometimes.
I lend you a hand sometimes.
And then I could, like, I don't know, give myself a pat on the back.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and this is something that I've really just been able to continue blooming through, and knowing that no matter how bad it is, that he has a plan for me because he made me specifically. And I'm not better or different than anyone else. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, or excuse me, better or worse than anyone else.
You
That's not what
you
I'm
are
saying.
a tiny bit different.
I am different, but not worse. Exactly. I am just like everyone else. I am God's child, and every single person is made specifically. He was just as specific with me as he was with you, as he was with you. And some of our differences are a little bit showier than the rest. Some of them are inside, and some of them we try to pretend like they're not there, but that's what he wants us to do, is put them out front. That's what he wanted us to go ahead and showcase, is our differences. God is the creator who just keeps being more and more unique. And he has that plan for us, and it can only be lived out if we are ready to step into that uniqueness.
That is awesome, and I'm thrilled that we get to do this together and actually share with everybody how having been a victim, admitting you're a victim, owning you're a victim, however severe or however mild it is, we have the chance to own it so that we can become ex-victims.
Absolutely.
So that then we can reach out and help other people and actually share with them how they can go from being the victim to being an ex-victim when we're sharing about Christ coming into our life and sharing how we can start actually blooming today.
Absolutely.
In this
owning
place.
it, saying I am now an ex-victim because I was a victim. I cannot actually own being an ex-victim without first saying, yes, I was a victim. But God doesn't want to keep me there, and I don't have to stay there.
And so I can actually own my past, reach out for hope and healing.
Absolutely, yes, reach out.
So I can get help, I can work through that process. I don't have to stay in denial anymore. I can own it because I'm not stuck there.
Yes.
I can grow and heal and start enjoying life, start being healthier, and actually bloom today.
Absolutely. And Celebrate Recovery is a national and actually international program. For anyone who is interested, they can check that out at celebraterecovery.com to find a location close to you. It's a 12-step program that's actually Christ-centered, so I highly recommend it. And remember
to bloom
today.
A free PDF copy of the Bloom in the Dark book and a full list of Bloom Today's coaching tools can be found on bloomtodaytv.com. Then visit Bloom Today's Facebook group for deeper conversation.